right, we are going to continue our conversations and our discussions about triangles. And what we're going to do today is we're going to start looking at pairs of triangles because this will lead us into triangle congruency. And what I mean by that is you are going to learn how to prove that two triangles are actually congruent to each other. But before we do that, we have a few topics that we need to discuss before that. So to start our video, what's going to happen with this video is that you as the student will be able to understand how to interpret labels on pairs of triangles to show their corresponding parts. So let's take a look at our first example. Let's examine our two triangles here. We have triangle JKL and triangle MON. We've talked about how we show when line segments are congruent to each other. And if you are looking at your tick marking, you see your tick marking here. If you're looking at the tick marking, you can see that we have some tick marks going on here. We have one tick mark here on this side, side KJ. We have three tick marks right here on side KL, and we have two tick marks here on JL. And if we take a look at these two tick marks here, if we come over to our second triangle, we find the side that has the same amount of tick marks. And this is side MO. What they're telling you is that these two sides are corresponding. And remember what we had up here in our essential question. You are going to learn about corresponding parts of triangles. Now let's take a look at our angles. Let's take a look at angle J. You see that angle J has our tick marking here, our arc, and it matches up with angle M over here with one arc as well. But then if we come down here to angle L, we see that it has two arcs. So let's come over here to our second angle, and do you see, if we look at angle L and look to the fact that it has two arcs, we come over here, and which one of these angles has two arcs? How do we know, or how can we tell which angle corresponds to angle L? If I come over here, I see the fact that angle O also has the two tick marks, so I know that angle O is the angle that corresponds to angle L. And if I want to see which side corresponds to segment KL, if we come up here, we look at segment KL, how many tick marks does it have? It has 1, 2, and 3. So if we come over to our second triangle and we look for the 3 tick marks, we see that that is side NO. So how can we tell which side corresponds to KL? We look for the tick marking. And we see that it is side NO because they both have those 3 tick marks. So when we are talking about corresponding parts up here of triangles, you will be able to find the corresponding parts and to make the interpretations because you are basically matching up 1 tick mark to 1 tick mark, 2 tick marks to 2 tick marks, and 3 tick marks to 3 tick marks. And we follow that same pattern with the angles. Our tick marking and angles are the arcs. So we have 1 arc and 1 arc. So these two correspond. We have 2 arcs here and here. So angles L and angles O correspond. And we have 3 tick marks here. So angle K corresponds to angle N. Alright, so what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and I want you to look at these two triangles. You see that we have triangle PLM And then we have triangle NOM. They're attached right here, which is common and which you will see as we continue. But pause the video for a minute and answer these questions for me. And when you think you have the answers, turn it back on. All right, let's see how you did. What angle corresponds to angle LMP? So angle LMP, so our angle right here has 3 tick mark or 3 arcs. So we would match that up with this angle here with its 3. Did you get angle OMN? Good. What angle corresponds to angle P? Angle P has 1 arc. So we come over here and we find that that's angle N. Did you get that one? What side corresponds to side PL? PL has 1 tick mark. We come over here and we find that that is NO. And what side corresponds to side LM? You came over here. LM has 2 tick marks. Did you match that up with MO or OM? Very good. All right, you are learning how to read your labels, and now you know how corresponding sides and angles look with a pair of triangles. All right, so let's take a look at these 2 triangles here. We are going to say that they are congruent, so we're going to make a congruency statement. So we're going to come over here, and this is how we read this. We say triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ. So what we're going to do is we're going to label the triangles in a way that is meaningful because it states in these triangles, if I look at angle A and angle X, you see that angle A and X are first in your labeling. So I would come over here and I would say, okay, angle A is congruent to angle X. Then we say angle B is congruent to angle Y. Well, come look at it. Look where they are both in the middle. So then we could say angle B is congruent to angle Y. So I'm going to use 2 for this one. Yeah, see if we get it there. And then we come over here and we say angle C is congruent to angle Z. Well, look where C and Z are. They're both in the last position. So then we could come over here and we could do our 3 tick marks. 3 and 1, 2, 3. Let me get that second in there. I'll try again here. There we go. So the order in which the letters are placed will tell you which angles are actually congruent to each other. So this is what we call a congruency statement, that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ. And we know that angle A and angle X are congruent because they are in the first position. We know that angle B and Y are congruent because they're in the second position. And we know that angles C and Z are congruent because they're both in the third position. So I want you to stop the video and I want you to see if you can answer these 2 questions for me. When you're done, turn the video back on. All right, let's see how you did. They wanted you to write a congruent statement for these 2 triangles. I hope that you paid attention to your tick marking. We see that M and T matched up, R and N matched up, and S and P matched up. So that would give us a statement that triangle MNP is congruent to triangle TRS. So how'd you do? And how did you determine the order of the letters in your congruency statement? Did you do what I did? Corresponding angles of congruent triangles have the same measure, and the order of the letters indicate which angles are congruent. All right, so that's a look at how we read our labels and how we can compare 2 triangles that are congruent to each other. Bring this to class and we'll discuss this more in detail.